Hello, everybody. I'm Toby Shifsky. I'm the Vice President of Real Estate Education at Kaplan. And I want to thank you for showing up to our Real Experts webinar. Our expert today, our real expert, is none other than Will Lau. Will, how are you?
Toby, I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. I don't know if any of you have had Will before, but if you've been involved with the education courses at Kaplan and even the real estate accelerator coaching at Kaplan, you will have seen Will. You will have participated with Will. Will, I'm just going to give a little background on so everybody knows who you are, Will. You have over 25 years of dedicated service in the customer service industry. So you come from customer service and then into real estate, right?
Yep,
Right.
exactly.
Well, and he brings that passion, that experience, and leverages it like a superpower into creating positive client relationships, right? And the tale today we're going to talk about this financial planning. I think it's going to kind of you're going to bring some real insight because I think in 2010 you obtained your real estate license.
That's right. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and then by 2016 you transitioned to becoming full time. So how about that? You started as part-time for 6 years and
Yep.
then became full-time, which a lot of our students do.
hmm
Right? And then in
Yep.
2019, Will achieved a significant milestone by successfully launching your own real estate team. All right, where you led a dedicated group of professionals committed to providing exceptional service and achieving outstanding results for your clients. As a former board member, this is an additional piece, board director, for the finance and luxury division, Will has gained insights into the intricacies of the real estate market. And he's gonna bring that to us today. Being an avid learner, I think like all of us that work here at Kaplan, we're all avid learners. Will continues to invest in his professional development. Regularly attends conferences led by industry titans such as Tom Ferry, Chris Voss, Tony Robbins. How about this? I knew Tony Robbins for so long. He used to be called Anthony Robbins.
Anthony Robbins, right? Yes, yes.
Man with the biggest hands in the world, I swear. And keeping Will at the forefront of the latest trends and strategies. Will's journey is characterized by a relentless pursuit of knowledge, a commitment to excellence, and a passion for helping individuals achieve their real estate goals. Will, thank you for being here today.
Toby, thanks so much. I'm gonna clip this and I'm gonna have my wife and kids listen to this intro over and over every single day, maybe even multiple times a day. That was great. Thank you so much.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. Well, you know what? You're going to want to watch the whole thing because I think you're here today to kind of share a tale. And for some, it's a tale of success. For some, it's a cautionary tale.
Yep.
But really, kind of, what we do is we share our experiences. And if people haven't figured this out about Kaplan, the beauty of having excellent instructors and experts that touch and deliver the education here at Kaplan is that you get a condensation. I tell everybody, you can get 5, 10, 30, 40 years of knowledge packed into a 2-hour, 4-hour, 8-hour class. And where else are you going to get that kind of wisdom boiled down? And so everybody, today we've got 30 minutes to go through all of this. You're going to get 4 or 5 golden nuggets out of this, but this is a topic, Will, right? We talked earlier. This is like hours and hours and hours of potential. But we're gonna hit them fast. So here's what I want to do. I want to ask everybody a poll question first. So those of you who've been here before, we always ask this question. We want to know where you're at in the real estate industry so that Will can kind of gauge our conversation to kind of reach you and meet you where you're at. So I'm going to go ahead and throw a poll question up. Everybody get a chance to participate. Go ahead, and when this poll question pops up on your screen, answer the appropriate answer. If you're on a cell phone, you may need to swipe to the side once and see this poll, but you should now see this poll on the screen. It says, who's in today's audience? How long have you had your real estate license? Go ahead and answer really quickly, and we're going to jump into our discussion. And I'm always surprised because there's an awful lot of people here, Will, who are still taking their real estate license exam. Just so everybody knows, every time we put up a poll, it's all anonymous. Nobody sees your name attached to the poll. If you put something in the text chat, people see your name on the text chat. So be careful what you put in the text chat, but the polls are always anonymous. Nobody sees your name, okay? All right, let's do this in 3, 2, and with the polls, everybody, I always share the poll, so you will always see the results of the polls. All right, here we go. I'm sharing the results. Take a look here. currently taking classes at Kaplan. How about that? 60% of the people are taking classes less than 3 years, 15%. How about you, hardy people? You picked it up during the pandemic and been going strong. I love it. 3 to 5 years, 4%. 5 to 10 years, 3%, and 10 plus years. You 10 plus year people, please, please, please. Oh, I'm sorry, 5 to 10 years, you guys too. Please play along. Please give your comments in the chat if you think we're missing something or hitting on something or you think something. Please help Will and I set people straight. And I promise you, all of you are going to get some golden nuggets today. All right, so Will, let's jump in.
Yes, let's do it.
Yeah. What are the basics of financial? I mean, financial planning is all, I don't know if everybody knows. In fact, I'm just going to say real quick, Kaplan has a college for financial planning. I don't know if everybody knows, but Kaplan's College for Financial Planning is an actual college. It's in Colorado. They've got a campus and everything, and they do everything from degrees to master's degrees to high-level CFP designations training. But when we're talking financial planning, I think about when I got into it. But tell me, what are the basic steps of financial planning and why financial planning?
Yeah, Toby, when I was presented this option to talk on this, I thought I was super excited because I grew up in a lower middle class family with a family of 7, 2 older sisters, a younger brother. My grandma was living with us. My parents immigrated from Hong Kong, and they opened their own small business as a Chinese restaurant owner. And we the favorite phrase I remember growing up was when I asked my parents, "Hey, can I do baseball with my friends or basketball with my friends, or can I get this gaming system console?" They're like, "Do you think money just flies from the sky or something like that?" No, you can't do that. And I think that left a little scar on me. And so that I love in regards to real estate and the opportunities of success and finances that you can gain from that. And
Yes.
now having a family of my own with 2 young kids, married for 12 years, working on 13, I'm able to say, oh, maybe a little yes, but there's still a lot of the habits I've learned growing up that I'm passing on to my kids and family as well. I'm looking at my notes and I'm just reminded because for a short amount of time, like you were saying in my intro, fast forwarding to 2010, I made the decision to get my real estate license and was doing it part-time, wanting to really get married. I was working at a job that did not provide any finances or did not provide any health insurance, did not provide any benefits. It was just strictly work. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to supplement with real estate, see if I can continue to build this up. Fast forward to 2016, I have an 8-month-old, and then my wife decides we come together and decide that she's going to be the CEO of the Lau household. She's going to leave her job. She's going to be at home and be able to manage and be the CEO there. And so we're like, hey, I think we can do this. We're going to be able to jump ship, make a splash, and go into real estate full time. Whew. I
Yeah.
remember my first paycheck. I was hoping it would come a lot faster. It took 9 months to get my first paycheck as a full
So from
time.
when you started in real estate, it took you 9 months to get a check. Got
When I
it?
started my full time journey, right?
Oh, oh,
I
oh.
was doing I was doing a good amount of transactions leading up to it, so
Yeah,
that's why I felt confident to be able to go into full time.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But when I finally got into the full time aspect of things, it took me 9 months. And my wife, I think she would have like, I hope he would have gone to 12 months so he can get back into the corporate world. But from there, just never turned back. And one of the exciting things you were talking about, Toby, in the sense that each and every year from 2016, I continued to grow, whether it be grow in sales volume, grow in transactions, how many families I was able to serve, how many houses I was able to sell or help people buy, grow in regards to income and gross income aspect of things, and really hit that peak in 2021. We were able to, as a small team, able to serve 43 families, 43 transactions. It was like 33 million in sales volume, which is a lot for me as a small team. And then we hit from a gross income perspective, 750,000. And I've never seen quote unquote that much money in my life before in that regard. And so it's just like sky high. I felt I was riding that wave and thinking that I could continue to ride that wave into 22, 23 and onward. But
Well,
that definitely rude awakening from there.
so we're going to get into that because let me ask. So, 2010, you're going part-time, you're making some money, you're doing some transactions, and then 2016, you go full on. Takes you
Yes.
9 months, right? The big dream is a little shaky at the start, but 9 months,
Yes.
you get a check. Do you have a financial plan at this point, or what is your financial plan at that point? What was that?
Yeah. Yeah, so it was a rough sketch of what a financial plan was in the sense of being able to do a transaction every month to be able to pay off our expenses. Because one of the big things, which I would highly recommend, is to understand your finances beforehand. Understand how much debt you have, how much you want to pay off, because you don't want to. I didn't personally want to have that sales breath. Every time I talk to my sphere of influence, like, are you looking to buy or sell at home in the next 7 to 10 days? Are you going to do something along those lines? And so
Yeah.
I had a rough goal of understanding I need to do a transaction every month to be able to make this successful
So you
because I
just had the
have,
raw numbers, right? I mean, you're like,
yes,
listen, I got a $2,800 a month nut. I got to
yes,
crack with the
yes,
car payments, house, insurance. And so I have to
student
sell a home.
loans.
And well, that's how everybody, I think, well, most everybody starts out. I wish it was different. I think we're gonna try to talk about how to make
Yes,
that different today because same thing. When I started off, I knew what my debt was, and I thought I just gotta crack that nut.
yes.
And that's okay. You got to have that understanding. But I think we're going to talk about you should probably be looking at more than that.
Yeah. And I think the reason why that was, like, you need to look more than that. And it starts before getting into all these formulas and systems, because you can read about it all day long. You can understand the theory, but in regard to understanding your purpose and your why, I think one of the biggest commodities that we have is time, and we can't get it back. And so if we can understand that beforehand in the sense of why do we want to make quote unquote $100,000 or $1 million or whatever that number is, $50,000, and how to be able to get there. What's the purpose behind that? Are you willing to sacrifice the time with your family, your kids, or friends, or whatever these relationships that you have just to be able to pursue this? And I was just listening to a podcast recently with Johnny Manziel, Johnny Money, Johnny
Oh,
Football.
the football. Yeah.
Yeah, and because he was actually an exceptional baseball player. He was going to be a shortstop or a second baseman, and the host was asking him, was like, "Why didn't you go to baseball? It's all this guaranteed money. Shohei Ohtani's getting 70 million a year, all
Yeah.
this stuff." And he was like, "Well, life is more than just money, even though it's Johnny Football or Johnny Money
Yeah.
Football in that way." And similarly for real estate, we have to understand our purpose and our why getting into this and why we're gonna be if we are going to be learning and be successful, then money is going to most likely come your way and knowing how to
I
get
love
there and how to manage that in that way.
I love how you say the why. And the why of doing it. I'll tell you what, I was in real estate. My family had been in real estate. I got into real estate. I was good at it. I was just
Mm,
good. I understood value. I understood how to, talk with people. I did all I got. And I didn't have a why for the first
mm,
5 years. And I sold a lot of real estate. And it left me a little bit hollow because I could never gauge when I was successful. So I
mm,
think what I'm hearing for you is, the why. What is success to you? Is it about a dollar amount? Is it about because you can get sidetracked, right? I mean, we're really entering into a service industry when you're in real estate. And and I'm wondering for some of those people out here who've been in the business for 3, 5, 10 years, did any of you have this sort of a recollection like
mm.
why, as opposed to just pegging a number and saying this is the number, and then the next year it's not enough, so you got to get a different number.
Right.
Did anybody get to that on their own? Because I think that's what you're talking about, right? Well,
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you don't, I think you'll get burnt out. You'll get burnt out. You'll get tired. You're thinking like instead of to your purpose, it's we are in the service industry. If we forget that we're pursuing or chasing after this number, then
yeah,
we're overlooking the people. We're looking over our primary stakeholders in that way, and it's gonna show up in your business. They're gonna
yeah.
see that. They're gonna see that. Oh, you're not really caring for me. You're just caring that I'm a number in this track
Great.
of you trying to serve however many people or earn how much money. And so,
All right. So let's jump in. I think that, it's a great point, everybody. So, having a plan. If you're sitting in licensing education right now, understand what's your plan? How much are you going to spend on this? How long do you plan to do it? How much do you think you're going to make? How many transactions you're going to need to be able to have? I know, Will, you're one of our coaches for Real Estate Accelerator. For
yep.
new people, we cover that in Real Estate Accelerator. If that's something you're interested in and you didn't buy it at the time you sign up for licensing, go do it. It covers all of this on an income plan part of it. And
Mm,
it breaks it down to exactly how many homes you need to sell and how many appointments you need to have and how many contracts. I mean, it does a really good job with that. But the other part of this too is this financial planning is not only just targeting an income, but understanding your finances, understanding, your revenue, understanding your expenses,
yep.
Because do you think everybody really, when you get into business for yourself in real estate, because that's what you are, you go to work at a brokerage, but the broker's not your boss. The broker doesn't figure out your financial plan for you.
Yeah.
They're your business partner, right? I mean, who's ultimately responsible for your finances when you go into real estate?
Yep.
You're your own CEO. So what do you think? What's the important pieces people need to understand about creating a proper financial plan? Give us some nuts and bolts, Will.
Yeah. I think for some of us, I think who are getting into real estate, we've had the experience as a W-2 employee, our taxes are taking out, our health benefits are it's already divvied up from our paycheck instead of getting this lump sum. And so when you see this check where it could be a couple $1,000s or a lot of $1,000s in that sense, it's like,
Yeah,
oh wow, I get to buy my car, go on these vacations, do all the things I've wanted to.
right.
And in reality, it's like, no, you need to budget and plan for expenses. You need a budget and plan for marketing. If you're going to do more open houses and signs and be able to promote, if you're on social media and you're trying to promote your new listing, how much ad spend are you going to have? How much are you going to do it consistently for all your listings? Because some sellers are going to say, hey, I see my home, but I don't see this one or whatever it may be. So you
Yeah.
need to have these numbers, whether it be a percentage or a number in mind to be able to be prepared for these things. And one of the big things is like taxes. A lot of people were like, okay, uh, my accountant will be able to expense enough things so I don't need to pay taxes to Uncle Sam. I'm covered there. But in reality, it's like, no, you got to be prepared or Uncle Sam's gonna be knocking at your door.
Yeah, so great point. So a couple things. Understanding the revenue part and the income and how many sales you got to have, that's pretty easy, fun math. Get that.
Yes.
But what does it take to actually do it? I mean, what does it take to get licensed even in your state if you're fresh into education? I mean, how about those people who've been in the business for a while? Right? Like, so one of the big surprises is, whoa, how much does it cost?
Right.
And then I got to pay some board dues and I got MLS fees and I got all these other fees that come into it. Am I really budgeting for that?
Mm,
Have I created a spreadsheet in the basics of it? What I'm going to try to manage my finances on my own. And then I'll tell you, I was really good at real estate right when I jumped in, and I made a bunch of money and I did a bunch of stuff, but I did not plan.
mm,
And I got to tell everybody, I'm going to share a quick story, but I did not plan. And what happened was I ended up not paying the right amount of taxes.
mm,
I did a land development, sold a bunch of lots, and it was my own development. And I thought, I'm not making any money. I'm just paying off the debt. I'm doing my own taxes, and I'm pretty smart. I'm figuring all this stuff. And what I didn't realize is that when you do a land development and you sell a lot, there's always a bit of profit in each lot,
mm.
even though I was just paying everybody off. And so I got a knock on the door by the IRS one day, said, we think you owe us some money. And so, $86,000 check, largest check I'd ever written in my life. Yeah, got off, but made it out clean, but paid the debt, paid the penalties, paid all that kind of stuff because I didn't have a plan. And I
Wow.
wish I'd had a plan. So a couple things. I'm going to ask one more poll question real quick because I want to see just where everybody's at with their plan. You got a plan? Do you have a planner? And so everybody, will go ahead. I'm going to ask this next poll question. And play along if you would. Once again, it's anonymous. Love it if you can be as honest as possible. And go ahead and look at this. How would you describe your current financial plan? Number one, I think I need one. That's totally legit. And once again, it's all anonymous. Just be honest. I have a financial income target, but I need to flesh out the expense part of it. I have crafted my own financial plan that I can get to me where I need to be for about the next 5 years. Or, you know what? I've actually hired a financial planner that has me on a path all the way to retirement. All the way to retirement. Go ahead, take a look at that poll question, answer as honestly as you can. I'm going to give it just a couple seconds. All right, look at this. We got what is a good percentage of your income to put aside for real estate investment back into business for fees, advertising, etc. All right,
Yeah,
so I think we can cover some of that stuff next. All right, I'm going to
absolutely.
go ahead and end this poll. We got just about everybody participated, and it's pretty close to what I expected. All right, everybody, here we go. You get to see the results. Look at that. 55% people say, I think I need one. Good,
Yeah.
good for you. It's probably why you're here. That's
Yes.
awesome. Just the realization that you need one is first. I have an income target, 35%. I think I got a plan that's going to last for about 5 years, 3%. And then, you know what? I've hired a financial planner, and 7% of the people have done that. This is not an uncommon thing. I mean, you know, people think that real estate, you're all crazy, you're all originals, this is pretty much like a national average sort of a look. But what we can tell you, and I think what the cautionary tale that Will is going to tell you, and what I've probably already told you, is you do need a plan, even if it's as simple as a spreadsheet, even if it's as advanced as hiring a planner who can help you prepare for your taxes. All right, so Will, some people asking questions like, how much do I set aside for taxes? How much do I set aside for you know, marketing myself? How much do I set aside for my own real estate investments? Do you have some guidance here for people?
Yeah. Before getting into that, I know I ended one of my stories saying that I was on this high in 2021 and
Oh,
hit
yeah,
these
yeah,
record
yeah.
numbers. But then in 22, when interest rates jumped up 300 basis points and people were starting to sit on the fence, one of the things I wrote down was like, numbers don't lie. I wasn't tracking my numbers. I was just basing it off my gut, thinking like, oh, I was able to serve this many families. I'll be able to duplicate that. I was growing a team. I was like telling them not to worry. But in reality, when you see your numbers, you see yourself not being able to hit the sales numbers in regards to what you should be making in a quarterly basis or whatever, or the different trends that you have and things like that. Should have been telltale signs for me to be able to pull back and start revising. But instead, I continued my expenses over hundreds of thousands of dollars every quarter and put myself in a position where I was like, wow, I only have 3 months of reserves before I start going into debt, start going into the red. And Toby, you're so kind to share your personal story, but even though you didn't have a quote unquote financial plan for that, you had the finances, the sufficiency to be able to write that check.
Yeah.
Most people, you're telling me to write
Oh, it
close to a
pretty much
six-figure
wiped me
check,
out. It pretty much wiped me out. But yes, I
but
did.
it's crazy. So one thing, it was a journey that I started continuing to grow and learn about. Definitely learned from this guy who oftentimes call people goobers, but I can write down some of the, Jamie reminded me to write down some of those resources in our group community forum. But
Forum.
one of the big books that I profited from was called Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. And I might be butchering his last name, by the way. But he was talking about how you need to have sort of 4 different buckets. And the first bucket you need to focus in on, even though you don't, maybe it's a small amount, maybe it's a small percentage, is profit. You should, from your gross revenue that you get from your check, you need to put aside for profit and continue that habit of paying yourself first, even if it's a couple dollars, $100 or what, thousands of dollars or percentage. You need to practice paying yourself first. But then you also need to have buckets in regards to expenses, buckets in regards to taxes, and also different things from an owner pay, that from a business side of things that you need to manage and take care of. And so having these 4 buckets and being able to allocate your funds accordingly after you get your paycheck instead of just blowing away. I think most agents, myself included, when I in escrow, I'm thinking about that amount. It's like, huh, I can use part of that to go to Cabo. I can do part of that for my son's soccer camp. I can do that for my half of that's gonna go to my wife in that regard, and her. No, it's different things like that. But in reality, having a plan or buckets in regards to be able to divvy that up is very important.
Some things are sold, it's new, right? Well, where like people used to have the envelope. Yeah, they bring a paycheck
Yes,
home and they
yes.
put so much in one envelope, put so much in another. And I know this sounds very simple, and some of you who are very sophisticated about planning, I think you even get it too, which is you got to start somewhere. And
Yes.
so I think the concept of paying yourself first, because the other thing I did when I got on my plan was I paid myself first, but I paid myself the same amount. No matter how big my check was, I paid
Mm,
myself the same amount, like a monthly. So I could get used to living on a budget.
yeah.
So I could get used to, and I didn't feel guilty when I spent all of my budget and when I kept it, because I had another bucket, another envelope that was to cover my expenses, and
Mm,
another one that was to cover future investments. And as you become more sophisticated, you can add more buckets.
yes, absolutely.
but I think the key concept, and I'd love to have some people who've been in the business for a while, if you could just maybe even just share, like when you realized that you needed to pay yourself first, and what that did to liberating you from feeling guilty for going out to dinner on a check, or even helped kind of maybe ease things over in the home front if you've got a family that's depending on that check, so that people could understand what the budget really was. Because it is a roller coaster ride when you're in real estate. It's a big feast or famine at times,
Is
right? As you noticed
is
after 2021, sales dropped off pretty significantly for you, and maybe we were still running pretty high and pretty hard,
yeah.
and then able to recalibrate.
Yeah. Yeah, God definitely humbled me in that way. But I think something practical for people to do even now as they're in the process of getting their license, maybe they can have their understanding of what their purpose and why is. But at the same time, understanding these, like being prepared budget wise from a business perspective. Another thing that they can be thinking about is uh, who's tracking your expenses now, your personal expenses now. Are you
Yeah.
tracking it? Do you know what's your bucket for meals, entertainment, for education, for continuing education? Are you, because those are the things I'm sure the seasoned veterans or those who have had their license for a while would tell you. You're going to go to these conferences and networking events and these classes where you can continue to learn. Are you tracking that? Are you seeing that from a year over year perspective and seeing where those things go? Things are going up, going down. And for those who have already been tracking it, it's almost like your bookkeeping aspect of things. Is there a way where you can pull back in preparations for going into real estate full time? Can you pull back up 5% or a certain amount, and be able to practice that? Because when you have your license and you're not getting a deal in 3 months or 9 months or however long that may be, that can be challenging. And so if you're able to pull back and have those habits built now before you get your license and going into full time, I think that's super valuable in that way.
I agree. I'm seeing a bunch of chat in the chats, people talking about spreadsheets and Excel and Google Sheets. And I would advise everybody, if you haven't already, you start a spreadsheet. Understand your expenses and
Mm,
what your monthly nut is, because if you're like me, you get these little bleeders that you don't even think are much. But I remember when we cut cable and
yes.
they were saving money. I spend like 3 times as much now on all these different streaming services.
Yeah.
We just had to go through and trim everything back. Know your expenses.
Mm,
Number one part about a good financial plan: know your expenses,
absolutely.
right? The other part is, once again, make sure you're paying yourself first, so that you understand what your real budget is for spending. And if
Yep.
you want to increase that budget, then you have to look at how you're going to increase your revenues, how you're going to increase your sales.
Yep.
And then lastly, I think we have a lot of questions about taxes. Like, how much should I be setting aside for taxes? Do you have a rule of thumb for what you set aside for taxes for?
Yeah.
Because
No,
now
normally I
that you're
talk.
going, because now that you're going into, you're an independent contractor essentially, but in the eyes of the IRS, you are responsible for paying your own taxes monthly, quarterly, at a minimum. I would advise quarterly. What do you use as a guide?
Yeah, I normally say in my classes, I'm not a tax. I don't play one. I don't play a
Yeah.
tax accountant or CPA or financial planner in any way. But just from my own experience, I would say being able to set aside. I do like a conservative bucket so I can see something in return. I usually do about 25%. Some can go even higher than 30, 33%, depending on your income bracket and how you do your finances with whether it be your spouse or yourself or whatever it is. But being able to do 25% bucket for taxes and be able to pay that off quarterly basis so that I know, okay, I can't touch that. Even if I put that away in a different account, I can't touch that. That's gone. Uncle Sam will return whatever is extra or whatever it may be, but 25% is usually a rule of thumb I go with. But
25% to
I've
your
seen other
salary.
people go much lower though.
Yeah. I would go from a guy who wrote a big check to the IRS. I would go higher and then get some money back. But you know what? Relying on good advice. So the other part of this too is financial planners. They work in different ways. Some charge up front. Some charge as a fee as you
Mm,
go. It's different than an accountant though too, right? So
yes.
an accountant is not necessarily a financial planner. So understanding how you're going to manage your money, understanding what advice you need and when you need it. Do you use a professional, a financial
Yes,
planner?
yes. I've gone through from a consulting aspect of things, a CPA. Now I have a CPA that's based in Louisiana because he has a really strong background and understanding about real estate investments and how to be able to leverage, whether it be taxes or be able to know how to do our expenses well in that sense. And so, but oftentimes I'm always trying to network, trying to talk to smarter people than I am, and that's not very hard to find. But be able to continue to find people who've know a lot more, experienced a lot more, and can advise me, whether it be paying a fee for that or just paying a drink just for them to
finding a
share something, I
mentor,
guess.
finding a
Yes.
confidant. Yeah. I think one of the traps for some people is that when you get into real estate is you kind of have these windfall paydays,
Yes.
and a lot of people will be behind and so got to make up, and it seems like they're going from one peak, to pit to peak to pit. And then the biggest difference that I found from the real estate world to professional world is, in the professional world, you generally have some contribution assistance by your employer for like a 401k retirement plan, like a pension fund. And in real estate, you're kind of really left on your own. You're going to have to initiate that. And what does that look like? Do I want to do an IRA? Do I want to do an IRA Roth? Do I want to do a SEP plan? What plans do you want to do? And really talking to a professional is probably well worth the money early in the beginning, don't you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And even one of my accountants was talking about, yes, you should be able to put away a 401k and be able to have that. But also, as a real estate professional, we have benefits from investing into real estate that we can take advantage of. And so looking into that as a path from a retirement perspective, being able to invest in properties or property management, whatever it is,
Take
so
a
that
passive, your passive losses on an active income
yes,
off of rental properties. Huge advantage for real estate agents. Much deeper topic than we can get into today, but
for sure.
understanding how all your money is going to work. And I've always been a big fan. I invest in real estate. I have the same advantages as all the other real estate licensees in the country, which is, I think about this and I think about investing in stocks in the stock market. And inevitably, whenever I invest in a stock, I'm a day late, and I'm usually not a dollar short, but I'm a dollar short after it drops when I invest. I've never lost on real estate,
Yes.
ever. It's my profession. I'm an expert at it. Understanding how real estate can be a part of your financial plan and investing in real estate, and how much from each of your checks are you going to put aside to be able to purchase your own real estate, should be a part of any real estate professional's kind of thought process, as if you're really going to truly take advantage of all the advantages of being in real estate. Why would you invest in anything else? Some people would say, because you're an expert at real estate and value. Why would you invest in anything else? Are you there yet? Are you investing in real estate? Well,
Yes. We're not only investing in real estate, but also real estate services like renovations, remodels, since building a team in that way. And so we've been able to build a portfolio and continue to grow that. Definitely different things we've learned, hardships that we've learned from that. And I guess that's another time we can talk about that as well. But yes, being able to leverage that from a business side of things or the financial planning side of things has been tremendous for us, for me and my family, for sure.
awesome. Well, thank you for being with us today. You know what? Like I said at the very beginning, this is a topic that can go much deeper, much broader, much longer. We could have a panel of CFP, maybe we will. By all means, if you guys think watching this, if you would like to have a panel of financial planners literally talk you through these bits and pieces on a multi-hour webinar, go ahead and drop it into the chat, or really go over to the real estate community forum that I think Jamie Cash has been posting in the chat, and we'll continue the discussion there. But maybe we can do a full-blown panel for people that they might enjoy. Well, thank you for sharing your story. I'm glad you're a part of Kaplan, I'll tell you
Oh,
that.
thanks for having me. It's exciting to share the things that I've been able to learn so that hopefully other people can learn from me and not have those mistakes and continue to grow and be successful and be able to serve other people as well, like we're doing today.
Awesome. Well, I tell you what, thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody. Once again, this will be sent out to you. It's all recorded. You can watch it again. You can pass it on to somebody else. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks, Toby. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.